having access to the basic services they need.
You know, this argument is not about denying women access to health care. This is not what this issue is about. And in fact, if you doubt what I'm about to say, ask yourself, why is it that the advocates for taxpayer funding of Planned Parenthood do not support taxpayer funding for community health centers, of which there are many more, or taxpayer funding for pregnancy centers, of which there are many, all of which have to be privately funded? Why is it that finally the president of Planned Parenthood had to admit they actually don't provide mammograms? They actually have to refer women to someplace else to get a mammogram. And by the way, when these videotapes emerge, you don't have to be pro-life. You don't have, I am, but you don't have to be pro-life to understand that the purposeful late-term abortion of a fetus for the purpose of harvesting its body parts cannot be what we fund through taxpayer funding. And of course, through all of this controversy, Planned Parenthood has not, cannot, and will not deny that that is happening, because it is happening. In fact, Planned Parenthood just recently announced we're going to stop taking reimbursement for these body parts. Sounds like an admission that it was going on. Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
You need to double check that article.
It's called murder.
I think you need to check your facts. Every single fact checker in this country will continue to point out that you are lying.
I don't come to hear you.
You know what's interesting? I think this is a really interesting conversation, because if you would go and look at all the facts, you would find out, just as an example, that there have been 2 forensic examinations of these videotapes. There are 9 of them, by the way. There have been 2 forensic examinations of this videotape, and both of those examinations concluded there was no editing. So I think we need to understand that, there's a lot of stuff that gets put out there that is not factually true. I'm very confident of my facts, and I'm also very confident of this fact. The majority of Americans have found common ground on this issue. And the common ground that people have found on this issue, the majority of women, the majority of Americans, and the majority of young people, is that abortion for any reason at all after 5 months is wrong. Ask yourself what the policy of the Democrat Party is. All of you young women out here, I know this is an important issue for you, but ask yourself what the policy of the Democrat Party is. I'll tell you what it is. Their policy is, it is not a life until it leaves the hospital. Most Americans don't agree with that. Their policy is that a 13-year-old girl needs her mother's permission to go to a tanning salon, but not to get an abortion. Their policy is it's okay that a tattoo parlor is more regulated than an abortion clinic. Yes, we need to have these conversations, but let us start by taking the common ground. And the common ground that exists in America today is that abortion for any reason at all after 5 months is wrong. So let's start by taking that common ground.